Hello Internet. I've been mulling over this bit of movie news for about a week now and wasn't sure whether or not to do an opinion piece on it, and then I figured, hey, it's the Internet where everyone gives you their opinion whether you want it or not. So what's the movie news? Excuse me for reading. Universal Pictures is in final negotiations with Alec Kurtzman to direct the Mummy reboot. And he's already producing the movie with Chris Morgan. Earlier this month it was reported that Kurtzman and Morgan will be bringing all the classic Universal monsters together to form a cohesive cinematic universe, an effort that Kurtzman was previously working on with Robert Orci. Now, setting aside any feelings I have about Alex Kurtzman, if you're wondering whether or not he's potentially the right man for the job, just look up his CV. Draw your own conclusions. I'm going to say no more. It's the phrase, cohesive cinematic universe. This is the Avengers effect. Get used to it, guys. Right now, and probably for the last few years, every major studio has been looking through all of their properties to see if any of them share universes. DC are doing it now with their Batman-Superman team-up leading into a Justice League movie. There are rumours that Fox, who own the movie rights to the X-Men and the Fantastic Four, there are rumours that they're looking into ways of merging those two universes. Cinematic universes is where it's all at these days. Synergy, cohesion. And whilst on the face of it, it's a cynical ploy to get some of that Avengers money. I think it broke the $1 billion box office mark, and everyone went ka-ching! We got to get some of that Avengers money. There is precedent with the Universal monsters. Universal monsters being these guys: Frankenstein, Dracula, the Wolfman, the Mummy, the Invisible Man, the Gill Man, Phantom of the Opera. There's precedent. In the 30s and 40s we had team-ups with these guys. These guys were milked for everything they had. Dracula, Frankenstein, the Mummy, the Wolfman, the Invisible Man, the Creature from the Black Lagoon, the Phantom of the Opera, the Bride of Frankenstein, Son of Frankenstein, Ghost of Frankenstein, House of Frankenstein, Werewolf of London, Frankenstein meets Wolfman, She-Wolf of London, Dracula's Daughter, Son of Dracula, House of Dracula, The Invisible Man Returns, The Invisible Woman, Invisible Agent, Invisible Man's Revenge, The Mummy's Hand, The Mummy's Tomb, The Mummy's Ghost, The Mummy's Curse, Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein, Abbott and Costello meet the Invisible Man, Abbott and Costello meet the Mummy, Revenge of the Creature, and the Creature Walks Among Us. And we've had, amongst those, there are team-ups that teenage and tween fans of the Avengers would find very familiar. Frankenstein meets the Wolfman was a sequel to the Wolfman, and the fifth Frankenstein movie, House of Frankenstein, had the Creature, Dracula, Wolfman, the Hunchback, Mad Scientist. House of Dracula had Frankenstein's Creature, Dracula, the Wolfman, and obviously all the Abbott and Costello movies. They were big monster mashes, so it's not unprecedented. What gives me pause, because this could have been potentially exciting news, but what gives me pause, he said, pausing, was Universal have tried to resurrect these properties before, and time and time again it's been proven that I don't believe they know what to do with these properties. They had a big old go in 1999 through to the early 2000s when Stephen Sommers was their go-to man to resurrect some of these franchises. He hit it big with The Mummy in '99 as writer-director, then writer-director of The Mummy Returns a couple of years later, which led into the spin-off Scorpion King movie, and apparently there's a Scorpion King 2 and 3, who knew? And obviously the third Mummy movie, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor, where the teat was really sucked dry on that. And in between all of those, in 2004, Stephen Sommers wrote, directed and produced Van Helsing, a film which I suppose it's got some of its fans out there. Personally, for me, that film stinks on ice. But that film brought a lot of their properties together. Who did it have? It had Dracula in it. It had the creature. Was the Wolfman in it as well? I can't remember. I saw it 10 years ago when it came out, and I've got no intention of seeing it again. My overriding memory of Van Helsing was literally uncontrollably laughing for half an hour straight after I'd seen the movie. All the way home, the entire walk home, I could not stop laughing after that turd of a movie. So, out of all that, I do have a little love for The Mummy from 1999. Although it's not a horror movie. I do like movies that aren't horror movies, but it was a good action sort of adventure romp. The period setting really helped it. I guess in hindsight, that was back in a period where filmmakers believed that CGI could do everything, and practical effects were completely poo-pooed. Now filmmakers with nous are much more able to tread the delicate line between practical and CGI. But they had another crack. 2010's The Wolfman. This is a movie that I like a lot. The dog stewed this one. Now this movie famously had its quote-unquote troubled production, and another director was brought in to do reshoots, massive reshoots. It tells. This is a schizophrenic movie. At first it was supposed to be a really moody gothic character piece, very, very similar in vein to the original, starring Lon Chaney Jr. And you do get that sense, and then every once in a while it gets punched up with blood and heads coming off and frenetic action scenes, and it's a really schizo movie. There's a glorious movie in there somewhere, but this is the prime example of Universal really not knowing what to do with their property. Is this going to be a slow, gothic, character-driven, psychological piece? Or oh no, the kids, it's a Wolfman movie. There's got to be kills and blood and gore in it and stuff like that. What is it? What movie are we making? They didn't know then, and I guarantee you they don't know now. And I'll tell you for why. Kurtzman has said of the movie The Mummy, which is going to be coming in 2012. The movie's set in the present. It's not a horror play, but rather an action-adventure tentpole with horror elements. It will also feature new characters and not rehash previous incarnations. An action-adventure tentpole with horror elements. I don't know about you guys. Apart from the fact that it's set in the present day, that sounds almost exactly like Stephen Sommers' 1999 Mummy with Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz in it. Now, get this. This October 2014, Universal will be releasing Dracula Untold, the secret origin of Dracula. This movie is not going to be part of their rebooted, interconnected, cohesive cinematic universe. Next year, October 2015, 20th Century Fox will be releasing Victor Frankenstein, starring Daniel Radcliffe and James McAvoy. Obviously, this won't be part of the cohesive, interconnected universe because it's a completely different company. One of the problems Universal has got is this isn't an IP for them. All of these characters are in the public domain now. So by 2016, when The Mummy comes out and they start interconnecting these, I could completely forgive people for expecting that the Dracula that they made from a couple of years ago is going to be this Dracula. But no, they'll be introduced to a whole new Dracula. I can completely forgive them for thinking, oh, that Frankenstein movie that we saw, if anyone goes to see it, that Frankenstein movie that we saw, oh, this is a different Frankenstein. By then people are going to be Frankensteined out. They'll have had this. I'm sure they'll still remember I, Frankenstein, which I personally haven't seen, but all the reviews say it's absolute rotten. In this case, I've got absolutely no reason to disbelieve them. So we'll have a new Dracula at some point down the line. We'll have a different Frankenstein. We'll have had this action-adventure tentpole mummy movie. If this action-adventure present-day mummy movie is going to be part of a wider cinematic universe that incorporates Frankenstein and Frankenstein's creature, Dracula, the Wolfman, the Gillman, are there going to be wild tonal shifts between all of the movies? Is one going to be an action-adventure? Is one going to be a horror film? Is one going to be suspense? Is one going to be gothic? And then when they all get together, because they're going to have their Avengers, beg your pardon, movie. They're going to have Frankenstein meets the Wolfman. They're going to have their House of Frankenstein, House of Dracula. How are all those tones going to mix together? How is that even going to work? And do we really want them all to have the same tone, these standalone movies? Now, don't get me wrong, when Universal did their Monster Mashes, this was at the point where they were genuinely sucking the franchises dry. They had nothing new to say, so to get arses on seats, it was see Frankenstein's creature and the Wolfman together on screen for the first time ever. See Dracula and the Wolfman and Frankenstein's creature on screen for the first time ever. This kind of sounds like Batman v Superman to me. Gee, we're Man of Steel, we don't know what to really do with Man of Steel 2. So, guys, come and see Batman and Superman on screen for the first time ever. Universal's plans. The Mummy's going to be set in present day. That doesn't necessarily mean they're all going to be set in present day. You know, the Mummy can be around for thousands of years. He's Egyptian. But if they have a flashback movie with set more in period time, who the fuck is the Mummy going to meet? And we would have to believe that he'd been resurrected, then went back again. And who would he meet? The Wolfman? Dracula? Or maybe it's that character from before he was mummified, if they go with Imhotep or whoever, but that would be too, like, 2000 BC. It wouldn't. This is very strange. The other thing that occurred to me is, by the time they finally get out of the blocks with this, will Penny Dreadful, the excellent TV series, have stolen all of their thunder? We've already had the first series of Penny Dreadful. Now, that features some of these characters with the promise of some more to come. I won't say any more than that, because if you haven't seen Penny Dreadful, you owe it to yourself to see it by hook or by crook. It's wonderful. And I really think that series will have stolen this thunder here. I can't genuinely see anyone being interested in a new Dracula movie. Even this year's Dracula Untold. I'm like, nah, you know, another Dracula movie. Really? Wolfman, they tried and technically failed with that 4 years ago. Failed by their own standards. I happen to love the movie. I think it's flawed, but I love it. Frankenstein. Do we want to see that again? Especially a few years after we will have just seen the Daniel Radcliffe, James McAvoy one, and possibly with the memory of I, Frankenstein still in our nostrils. You know what I would do to wrap this up? If it had been me, if I'd been asked to do this, I'll tell you who I would have started with from this roster. Let's open this up. By the way, if you've got a Blu-ray player, buy this set if you don't have it already. It's absolutely phenomenal. Get a lovely book with it. Oh, that didn't work. Postcards. If postcards are your thing, loads of postcards. But what you do get are some absolutely glorious transfers of these movies. They've never, ever looked better. And this guy went from being an also ran with me, the Gill Man, the creature from the Black Lagoon, to being one of my standout favourites. What they've done with that movie on this box set is nothing short of astounding. The Gill Man came towards the end of Universal's reign of their classic movie monsters. He sort of got in under the wire to be incorporated with this group. And even back then, they were trying to use any old razzmatazz to get people in. It was one of the earliest 3D movies. What you get in this Blu-ray box set is you can watch this movie in 3D. And I saw it with new eyes. It blew me away. It is officially, with no sense of irony or trying to be a hipster or anything like that, it's one of my favourite 3D movies of all time. There's an environmental message in Creature from the Black Lagoon that I wasn't expecting. The underwater photography is amazing. The underwater 3D photography is amazing. Some of the stuff they do in that film is genuinely standout. And modern audiences haven't been worn down and down and down to the size of a tiny pebble by constant remakes and reinventions and reimaginings of the Gill Man. Creature from the Black Lagoon got a couple of sequels that no one's really seen. I've not seen them. They're not available. I'd snap them up. But everyone's familiar with Frankenstein and Frankenstein's creature and the Wolfman and Dracula, even Phantom of the Opera, and to a lesser extent the Invisible Man. But the Creature from the Black Lagoon in 3D. With an environmental message, that's where you could start. That's where you laid the first jewel in your crown. And it disappoints me that they're going with The Mummy. Tentpole action adventure. Well, are we gonna? It's the 28 days later. Are they zombies? They're not zombies. It's a virus. Oh, they're running. Zombies don't run. Should the mummy run? Should the mummy be fast? I'm not going to damn the film before it comes out. I'd have started with the Creature from the Black Lagoon. You've got a much more blank canvas to start playing with and to start setting the rules of your cohesive cinematic universe with a property that is unfamiliar to most of the people that you're going to be trying to sell tickets to. It gives you a lot more leeway to do a lot more things and to set your stall out much better. Now, admittedly, you've got leeway with The Mummy, more leeway than you would have with Dracula or Frankenstein. But I'm not going to dump on this idea just from the sound of it. I'm not going to say a word about Alex Kurtzman. When it comes to the reboot of Universal's classic stable of monsters, I think my watchword for now is going to be hope for the best, prepare for the worst.